Jump right in because this is not your first rodeo. We've been here before. So we could talk about fear. We could talk about anxiety around this whole issue of money. But I think what's far more interesting, or at least as a place to start, if you want to jump along with me, is let's talk about the intentions you have for yourself around money.
These are my
Try to
intention forms.
pick one. Is that all one intention? Is that
No,
motivation?
different topics.
All right, beautiful.
So I have my financial intention that I'm fleshing out more, but then just looking at my bank account and watching, I thought like something would have happened by now, and the money is dwindling. So this weekend, I started to flesh out my financial intention more. But then I also created an intention around a part-time job just to maybe follow a path of least resistance. And I was like, in a world where nobody can say no and money is no object, I don't want a part-time job. But having it would maybe create a path of least resistance. I don't know.
Okay, so you're feeling resistance at the thought of the job, yes?
If it was something that I could just do in my own time from home, then cool,
Okay,
fine.
let's come back to that because I just
Okay.
want to say for anybody that might be watching this at some other time, here in Spiritual Workout World, we have 15 different concepts to work with. What I'm wanting to do with Christina right now is really based on this idea. The law of attraction is always on. So we're going to converse some more, but I want to converse purposefully much more in the realm of where we want to go than where we've been and what's not working. And again, I can do this with Christina because she's done this before. She's already got some intention, at least in the works. So let's start there. Of those ones you just whipped out, as it were, which one, and you said you were working on it over the weekend, and by working on, I know we all mean cultivating.
Cultivating.
So what
Yep.
are you cultivating, Christina, just in general?
Well, so quick backstory. This is why I'm bringing this up today. Like, I've got this shiny, clear financial intention, and I did some really good tapping on some things too. But the reason I'm bringing this up is that like I did some tapping, did yoga and meditation. I even did the quick tapping of the let it go, and I just went for a hike. Like, I'm doing all the things, and I'm feeling so much fear and anxiety because I have this shiny, clear intention and the money's not there and it needs to be there now because it's running out. Like, that time element is adding
Right.
a lot of anxiety.
When we move into, because law of attraction is always on, and we are always getting more and more of what we're thinking about and talking about and feeling, then we choose, when we're being conscious about things, to talk about and think about and feel things that we actually want to experience. And we do that in the form of shiny, clear intentions, like we're talking about. Intentions matter. Why? Because they help us with the choices and the decisions that we're going to make minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, and they keep us aligned with what we're wanting, right? So what Christina's describing is what virtually all of us are going to experience if we haven't already, which is, here I am in a shitty situation, or just one that's not to my liking. Here's where I want to be. Intention, shiny, clear, at the ready, right? Which Christina has. And then we're not there yet. We wake up on a day and we're not there yet. Yeah, I've got this intention. It's shiny and clear, and I love it, and it's right. And my life today sucks because it's not that yet, and I'm really torn, and the anxiety is up, and the fear is up, right? So if the anxiety is up and if the fear is up, we have to be present to that reality. It is what it is. But if it's anxiety and if it's fear, we know that that's not where we want to be. We don't want to create more of that. We know where it comes from. We don't have to analyze it. So the best thing we can really do is move into our intention. Wait, where am I again? What am I going? Oh yeah, that intention, shiny and clear. And I think to Christina's point, she's saying, well, yeah, I did some of that and I had to tap my, is that what you were saying, Christina? You kind of tapped yourself back into it or tried to?
Well, what I discovered in the tapping is that right now, since the money seems to be less than I want it to be, and I don't see any income, is feeling more immediate. What I realized that there's a belief there that I need to do something. So I tapped on that I need to do something instead of just relying on this intention and receiving. And we can talk about this tomorrow. But what I encountered is, okay, it's amazing that I discovered that I think I need to do something. It's always how it's been. Like, I quit this job. I followed inspiration. I'm doing what I love. And then in a couple months, the money runs out and things aren't what I want them to be. And so I go do something. I go look for a part-time job. I go do something. And I'm having some anxiety about connecting with my intention because that voice in my head is like, you can't just sit here and follow your intention. Like, that's not going to work. You have to do something.
Right. Okay. So I love that that's where you got. That's evidence of somebody who's kind of been doing this for a while and practicing the way we do here, right? Because what Christina's saying is, yeah, she went to tap herself, did some tapping around it, found the specific thought or idea or belief that she was having, dial that down, because you're right, that is the fear. That's the fearful thought. That's the anxious thought. That's the what if. That's the part that doesn't believe the intention, right? Mm-hmm. So she's got the intention shiny and clear at the ready. She can go to it. She can talk about it, and she can tap herself back into alignment with it, right? Because what was really getting her, and maybe there's more to it, but at least this is this idea, I better do something. So there's so much going on in there, and I want to hit on several ideas, and then we'll just see which, where you want to spend the time, Christina. But what you're basically describing is the dynamic that occurs when we're not there yet with our intention, right? I mean, we're starting in this one place. Maybe it's really awful. Maybe it's medium awful, whatever. And then we're setting it for something way, way greater, way, way in the future, or hopefully not too far in the future, all that, right? And we're not there yet. We get up, here we are one day. Well, yeah, I have this shiny, clear intention of having all the money I need and want. But guess what? Today, that's not the case. And guess what? What's going on in my bank account? What am I thinking about that? What am I believing about that? I have to do something as an example of what am I thinking about it, right? So there's something else that I really want to talk about here. Another way into all of this, because essentially I'm not wanting to give a whole lot of energy right now to the fear and to the anxiety until we go through some of these other things. And if at the end of all that we see the fear and anxiety is still as high or higher than it was, we can address it head on. Okay. But there are a few other things, and it starts with this whole idea of being present, right? Mm-hmm. So in this situation, being present is, there's no future, there's no past. What's going on right here, right now, in this moment? And now you'll have to tell me, and you don't have to tell all of us, but just here are some questions to ask. Is there money in my bank account? Do I have, where am I living? Where am I sleeping? Do I have food? Right? I mean, we can go that basic if we have to try to find things to be grateful for right here mm-hmm. and now. So really practicing this particular concept in this situation is really helpful. It brings us into the present moment. Just by saying, oh yeah, right now, today. Well, if you're going to ask me right now, today, yeah, I have everything I need, right? Well,
I did that in my yoga today. I was laying in my shavasana and I was like, right here, right now, everything is fine. And then the little voice is like, well, it's really irresponsible of you to say that because you need to be prepared for tomorrow. And then, so there's that. Like, so I was trying it.
Wait, okay, when that little voice says what it said, or said what it said to you today, and even as you recall it, telling us right now, how did that feel to hear that thought? You should be, what was it you said?
If it's like irresponsible to not prepare for tomorrow.
Being irresponsible, you're not prepared, right? So how did it feel to receive that thought? The feeling connected with the thought, and I'm talking about this. What was the feeling?
Even before the thought, when I was, in reality, right here, right now, everything is fine, it doesn't feel as peaceful as it usually does.
Right, because you weren't 100% believing it.
Yeah.
So so here's what happens. The first thought is, right now, everything's fine. And then immediately over that, and tell me if I'm not getting this correctly, like a steamroller, well, you're being irresponsible and you shouldn't, and right? And now it's hard. Those two things are all mushed together. And in fact, the first one, everything's fine, has actually been snuffed out somewhat. Am I exaggerating, or is that sort of it?
Yes. And I have shifted to an attitude of gratitude where I notice that my bank account is much lower than I'd like it to be because I've been spending so much money on supplies for what I love to do. So that was a really good shift too. It's not just, I'm not just trying to survive. I spent a lot of my money on things that I love and to follow my inspiration.
Okay. Attitude of gratitude. Let's list 25 things. I have the money to invest in my own business. I have invested in my own business. I am in a yoga class, which really feeds my soul and my body. I've got food, right? I mean,
so that's what I'm saying. I've been trying to be present. I've been doing the gratitude, and I'm still feeling like shit. It's pretty heavy. It's pretty deep right now.
And that's what we're getting to. And we will come back to the fear and the anxiety, and we'll hit it head on if we need to. But I still want to emphasize for this conversation, because this is a dynamic, like I say, that we all get into, these other ways of looking at what's going on, right? So when you, in this situation, can lie there in your yoga class and say, wow, right now, I have everything I need and want. Remember, because in that instant and in that moment, you're attracting more of that to you right then on the spot. If you can hold that thought for 17 seconds or more, I have everything I need, it starts to attract other thoughts and more energy like it. If you can hold that feeling of, what would you say it is when you have everything you need? How does
what do you mean?
Feel? One or two feeling words for that. It feels
safe.
Okay.
And abundant.
Beautiful. So when you can hold, lying there in your yoga class, the thought that you have everything you need for 17 seconds, the safety and the abundance of it, keeping yourself right there. You're not thinking about when you get up from class. You're not thinking about later tonight. You're not thinking about the next day. You're just right there, and you can hold those feelings for 68 seconds. You start to attract more of that. So any talk of fear and anxiety, which are very familiar to us and we know about, are distractions from the investment of the energy in just simply getting to that place of attracting what we really want in spite of what we have, right? So that sometimes it's not so easy to do that is fine. That's why we have tapping, and that's why we have beliefs, and we can go into all of it. And some days we really have to go into all of it, and some days we don't, right? But these are some of the things to be able to do in that moment to hold ourselves. So being gifted with the time to lie there and invest, if you choose to, in everything being the way it is, the way, in an ideal world where nobody can say no and money's no object, and imagining that's the case right there and then, that's the skill, to be able to hold that vibration and that energy attract more of that to you, even though you have some doubt and worry and anxiety and fear that's brewing, right? So what I'm trying to say is the more that we can emphasize all the stuff on this side of the equation, the better it's going to be. So the only question is, can we kind of get there and do that? Or do we really need to go back to, okay, so even though I have a belief that I have to do something, I love and accept myself completely, even though I have a belief, even though I'm believing that it's all going to come crumbling down tomorrow, whatever it is. So again, not being all the way there puts us in that position of putting urgency on our intentions, which is the last thing we want to do. We need to let go of how, and we need to let go of when. And sometimes that's really challenging, but that's part of the process. It's just part of the process. Christina is moving down the continuum of fully embodying this intention for easy money. That's my paraphrase of her, right? That's and she's saying today she's a little stuck. She was kind of up here before, now it's coming down a little bit, and then all the things that we think about that. So we're now talking about the array of things that a person can do when they find themselves in this situation where the intention has not yet fully manifested, and there's a lot of angst coming up about it. So being able to conjure up the intention, everything's fine, I have everything I need, I have everything I want, right? Finding other sentences and phrases for what's true right now, in addition to all the truths that you're already entertaining, right? The truth is there's less money in my bank account today than I want there to be. Okay, that's one thought. Can you now, when we're living consciously in spiritual workout world, we know that choices abound, which means we also know that we can choose the thoughts that we're thinking. So, do I want to think there's less money in my account? And Christina's saying she already kind of did this exercise, right? Do I want to think that there's less money in my account than there was? Or do I want to think that, wow, I'm so grateful to have had the money in my account to invest in my business. Okay, but there's less in it today than you want there to be. Well, that's not your intention. It's not where you're headed. It's not where you're going. So don't give that any attention. There's no need to give that any attention. Can you move your attention to the intention where it's all working just fine the way it's supposed to work? That's a way to get there. I could think about it in terms of less money than I want, or I can think about it in terms of having made an investment. Then what does that feel like? Oh my God, to be able to just reach into my own bank account, not talk to anybody else, not have to ask for permission, not have to whatever, and get that money and invest it in my business. What does that feel like? I'm going to sit here and magnify the crap out of that for a minute or 5 or 10 or 20, right? And to really go, again, everything is energy, and it's all about maintaining the energy so that we attract in what we want to attract, right? And it doesn't matter how we get there. It doesn't matter how we're not telling the absolute truth. I have everything I need and want. Well, is that true or is it not true? Does it maybe it's not quite where you want it to go, but what's true today in this present moment, right? So this is all about frequency and vibration, which is what it's always about. And it's about not getting sucked into and derailed by all the old chatter. Now, none of what we're talking about is new or different, but Christina, I really appreciate this opportunity to talk about this specific dynamic, because it's where a lot of us will just, we get impatient, or we get frustrated, or we start to believe it's not working the way it's supposed to work. So again, everything means what we make it mean. I suggest that we could just make it mean that I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, but where am I? What have I got right here, right now, today, being present, expressing gratitude in the realm of all this? I have money in my bank. Do I have enough? Do I have right? So I'm rambling and rambling. Talk to me now.
Yeah, those things work. They definitely work. They're magical. They've done wonders for me.
And
Not this time.
so,
It's just not working.
okay.
I'm in a deeper place.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to suss out. So tell me more.
It's just like, what do I need? What else do I need to do? Like, I'm keeping my mind. I'm got an attitude of gratitude. I'm practicing
Okay.
presence. I was listening to Marianne Williamson today, and she was talking about this prayer of like, all right, God, what I want is inner peace, and I would love that to come through financial abundance. I have no idea how, but I turn that over to you and I surrender to you. And I'm saying that prayer as I'm hiking. And so the part of me is like, well, where is it? Like, if surrendering to God and sussing out the beliefs, like,
let me interrupt you for a second. So where is it implies it's not here, right? It's not here. Where is it? So, and that's why I want to ask you to take out your intention, because let's look at the language in there. So if we're going to move to intention, we have to use the language of it is here, even though it isn't, right?
My intention is written in present tense, positive language. I don't identify with it right now at all. I'm like, I've been working out these beliefs and doing this, like, why I've been feeling great. Why am I so disconnected right now? Like, why does it have to be so seemingly so hard? Like, I've surrendered, I've asked God, I've written the intentions, I've sussed out the beliefs. Why on earth would I have to wait any longer than this?
All right. So now Christina has answered my question from a half an hour ago, which is how sometimes everything we've talked about is enough to realign us with our intention. Oftentimes, I think, again, it all depends. And some days it's different. So there's no right or wrong to any of this. So now the other way in that we haven't addressed yet, which we're going to now, is exactly what Christina's saying. It's like, here's my intention. I see it. I get it. But I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling aligned with it. And because of that, I'm feeling a lot of the negativity and a lot of the fear and the anxiety, right? So now let's just start to use tapping to see if we can't help Christina get more aligned with her own intention. But let's start with the intention. Can you read? Would you mind reading it?
I've got the whole page full.
Okay.
Do you want me
to
read
mind
through
sharing it, or would you rather not?
No, I can share it.
Okay,
so
great.
I love that you said everything is fine and I have everything I need and want. That's great. Financial abundance is consistent in my life. I always have more than enough to say yes to all that I desire and give. I am a spiritual being here for a reason, and I am fully supported financially.
Mm-hmm.
Living my fullest desires is natural, normal, and consistent. This is the way things are now. I am taken care of and supported. I am worthy by simply existing. I trust life. I can feel the flow of love and abundance before I even see it, before I know when or where. I am a money magnet. I manifest in fascinating ways consistently. Stuff like that.
Stuff like that there. Okay, so right now, 0 to 10. 10 is I am in complete alignment with that intention. I'm feeling good. And 0 is I'm not feeling it at all right now.
Wow, let's go 0.5.
Okay. All right, so let's do some tapping and just kind of see where it takes us.
And another note, like the thing that I found with tapping is that it's amazing to bring up those points of like, oh, I think I need to work hard. It's really illuminating. But then when I do it on my own, I'm not able to get to the positive resolution like I am with you. Like when I'm in a negative place, I'm like, and I'm not pulling myself out of this now.
Okay, I hear that. I hear that. All right, let's see if we can't help Christina with this. Your feet, legs, ankles uncrossed, karate chop. So even though right now in this moment and for a bit,
Even though right now in this moment and for a little bit,
I am not at all feeling my intentions for financial abundance,
I am not at all feeling my intentions for financial abundance.
I love and accept myself completely.
I love and accept myself completely.
Even though I feel kind of stuck in a moment today,
Even though I feel super stuck in a sticky moment today,
where fear and anxiety are taking over my financial intentions,
where fear, anxiety, and worry are taking over my financial intentions,
I love and accept myself completely.
I love and accept myself completely.
Okay. Even though right now I am not where I want to be
Even though right now I am not where I want to be
with regard to my financial life,
with regard to my financial life,
I love and accept myself completely.
I love and accept myself completely.
Eyebrows. I should be somewhere else right now.
I should be somewhere else right now.
Eyes, yes. I shouldn't have to deal with this anymore.
I shouldn't have to deal with this anymore.
Under the eyes. It shouldn't be this hard.
It shouldn't be this hard.
Under the nose. I shouldn't have to deal with this anymore.
I shouldn't have to deal with this anymore.
On the chin. I just shouldn't have to deal with this anymore.
I shouldn't do this anymore.
Collarbone. Why does this have to be so hard?
Why does this have to be so hard for me?
Under the arm. Why does it seem to be so hard for me?
Why does it seem to be so hard for me?
Top of the head. And how come sometimes it's even easy for me?
And how come sometimes it's easy for me?
Eyebrows. So sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's hard.
Sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's hard, but it's never quite manifested what I totally desire.
Sides of the eyes. So I'm still not 100% sure this system works.
So I'm still not 100% sure that this system works without my hard work.
Yeah, under the eyes. Or that it works for me.
Or that it works for me.
Under the nose. I'm just not sure this system works.
I'm just not sure that this system works.
On the chin. I'm not sure the system works for me.
I'm not sure that this system works for me.
I'm not sure I believe the law of attraction.
I don't quite know how to interact with the law of attraction.
Under the arm. I haven't quite figured out the law of attraction yet.
I haven't quite figured out the law of attraction yet.
Top of the head. I've had some amazing experiences using it on purpose.
I've had some amazing experiences using it on purpose, but they kind of feel like flukes.
Eyebrows. But because I haven't achieved a level of consistency yet,
sides of
the eyes, they feel like flukes.
They feel like flukes.
Under the eyes. Inconsistency has been my history.
Inconsistency has been my history.
Under the nose. I even have an intention now.
On
the chin. For consistency.
For consistency, which I completely believe in. Just wondering where it is.
Yeah, collarbone. So when I wonder where it is.
Under
the arm. I am believing it's not here.
Top
of the head. And because I'm believing it's not here. Eyebrows and everything associated with that. Sides of the eyes. It kind of pushes it away.
It pushes it away, which feels really unfair.
Under the eyes. And this is just a lot of effort and a lot of work.
It feels like a lot of confusing effort and work.
Under the nose, and like maybe I'm not doing it right.
I'm like always worried if I'm doing it right, but then worried that I'm worrying.
On the chin. So I'm just not all, I'm not all the way to mastery yet.
I am not all the way to mastery yet, and I'd like to not suffer so deeply financially for that.
And yet I'm willing to acknowledge
And yet I'm willing to acknowledge
under the arm that most of my suffering,
that most of my suffering,
top of the head, beyond dealing with what I have to deal with on a daily basis,
beyond dealing what I have to deal with on a daily basis,
eyebrows when it comes to my finances,
when it comes to my finances,
is actually what I'm believing about where I am.
is actually, what is that? What do you mean?
And then we've looked under the eyes. So the fear and the anxiety and the worry and the dread.
So the fear and the anxiety and the worry and the dread
Under the nose are all about what I think about.
Are all about what I think about.
And this idea that I haven't reached full mastery yet.
This idea that I haven't reached full mastery or consistency yet.
Even though my consistency intention just got born a couple of weeks ago.
Even though my consistency intention just got born a couple weeks ago.
Under the arm. And I've lived a few decades of not knowing what I was doing.
And I've lived a few decades not knowing what I was doing. See, this is what's frustrating to me. Like, ask and you shall receive. Well, I've cleared a huge belief and I've asked.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
Why
so the problem I'm having is a when problem.
Is a when problem.
Yes. The universe is not delivering on time.
The universe is not delivering on time.
Under the eyes. The universe is not delivering on time.
The universe is not delivering on time.
Under the nose. I'm frustrated because it's not delivering on time.
I am frustrated because it's not delivering on time, and it makes me feel abandoned and unworthy.
Because my expectation was that it would happen by now.
That it would happen by now. I've had enough of living the old way.
Right, and exactly. So I'm frustrated.
I'm frustrated
that it's not happening on my timetable.
That it's not happening on my timetable.
Top of the head. It's not happening on my timetable.
It's not happening on my timetable.
Eyebrows. It's not happening on my 3D human timetable.
It's not happening on my 3D timetable.
Size the eyes, which means it's always happening.
Which means it's always happening.
Under the eyes, on the 5D soul level timetable.
On the 5D soul level timetable.
Under the nose, which is really frustrating to think about.
Just super frustrating because they don't have bills to pay there.
Right. So on a soul level, if I believe that I'm here for a reason.
On a soul level, if I believe that I'm here for a reason.
In this moment, collarbone.
In this moment.
Having this experience.
Having this experience.
Under the arm of frustration.
Of frustration.
And tiredness.
And tiredness.
And wanting to know why.
And wanting to know why.
Top of the head. Then there's a project in here for me.
Then there's a project in here for me, which makes me feel like I have to work hard.
Eyebrows. Which is going to be about redirecting my energy.
Which is going to be about redirecting my energy.
Sides of the eyes. Into navigation from here to where I want to go.
Into navigating from here to where I want to go, but feeling distrust at the process. So unsure of what to even do.
Under the nose. I'm not even sure I want to have this conversation.
Oh, I like this conversation.
Okay, on the chin. I'm really protective of my time and energy right now.
Yeah, I'm really protective of my time and energy right now.
Collarbone. I don't want to invest energy in something that's not going to work.
I don't want to invest energy in something that isn't going to work and end up in a worse off place.
Right. But as long as I have a deadline on when something's supposed to happen,
As long as I have a deadline on when something is supposed to happen,
top of the head, then I've thrown a wrench into the works. That's just the way it is.
then I've thrown a wrench into the works. That's just the way it is.
Eyebrows. So if that's the way it is and I'm stuck in this moment today,
So if that's the way it is and I'm stuck in this moment today,
sides of the eyes, feeling all this frustration and anxiety and worry and fear,
feeling all this frustration, anxiety, and worry and fear,
under the eyes, then I'm here having that experience for a reason.
and I'm here having this experience for a reason,
Under
which
the
feels
nose.
like kind of a punishing God.
Under the nose. So all it means is that I really want to finish this thought. If I'm here for a reason and it's not to my liking,
If I'm here for a reason and it's not to my liking,
the chin, then the way out is to ask the question,
then the way out is to ask the question,
collarbone, who do I have to be?
who do I have to be?
Under the arm, or what muscle do I have to grow or develop?
Or what muscle do I have to grow or develop
The head, right here, right now.
right here, right now,
Eyebrows, in order to get out of anxiety and fear.
in order to get out of anxiety and fear?
Side of the eyes. Who do I have to be?
Who do I have to be?
Under the eyes. What muscle do I have to grow or develop?
What muscle do I have to grow or develop
Under the nose. In order to navigate
in order to navigate
in the chin to a far more peaceful place?
to a far more peaceful place
Collarbone. That is not anxiety.
that does not have anxiety
Under the arm, or fear or doubt or worry.
or fear or doubt or worry.
And this will be my project.
And this will be my project.
And this will be where I could put some energy.
And this is where I can put some energy.
Okay, let's take a nice deep breath.
Thank you.
So, who do I have to be? What muscle do I have to grow or develop? Does anything just pop in your head?
Yeah, because it's kind of a thought I've been having for the past few days. Like, I'm so growth minded that I'm like, who do I need to be? How do I need to grow here? Oh, I need to learn how to surrender. Okay, I surrender. Like, and so I'm feeling sticky with that because I'm like, I'm growing all the muscles. I'm like spiritually working out all day, every day, and feeling so icky that I'm like, it's very confusing feeling. Like, does that make sense?
Yes, but you're only feeling icky because of a particular thought or family of thoughts that you're having. So if you can talk about fear, then you're talking about beliefs that you're having. If you talk about anxiety, you're talking about beliefs you're having. But what I'm trying to say here is yet another way into all of this, or out of it, more to the point, is, okay, I'm having this experience, and it's not the first time I've been here. It's really hard for me to reconcile all the effort that I'm putting forth to cultivate my intentions and to engage the law of attraction in a conscious manner, and I'm still screwed. I still have stress and anxiety over over what's happening, and frustration about the timing of all this, right? So what do I have to do right now as a spiritual being having a human experience to navigate through. That's where we ask that question, who do I have to be, or what muscle do I have to grow or develop? Maybe it's something about, well, I just have to be even better than I've been at accepting everything as it is. Maybe I have to be better than I've been at sussing out.
Why? So, you know what I wonder about? Like, when I look at accepting things as they are, I wonder, like, well, if I live in a loving universe with a neutral God who's open to whatever I intend and I align with that intention, why do I have to be accepting of not that? Like, there's like a part of me that's like, I want to hold this loving God accountable because.
But see, that's putting the responsibility for your life experience outside of yourself, right? So spiritual being having a human experience means there's no accident to any of it. Not everybody that comes on or engages this work is talking about what you're talking about, right? You're having the experience you're having because that's your soul's journey. So the point that I'm making is that as spiritual beings having human experiences, trusting that we're always having the experience for some reason or another. When we ask that question, who do I have to be? That's from Michael Beckwith at Agape. Who do I have to be? What muscle do I have to grow or develop here? Then we start to see on a spiritual level, oh, well, maybe it really is. You know, I'm a pretty accepting person, but I'm also judging what's going on. So maybe I just need to be less judgmental here. Okay. That would be a project. Okay, so it's my judgment that's sort of getting in the way. Yeah, that's sort of been a theme in my life. So now I'm not going to worry about the anxiety and the stress because I really do have what I need right here, right now, today. So I'm going to invest my energy in growing my non-judgment muscle, my acceptance muscle, and see how that feels. As we're talking, listening to inspiration, the moment that you hit on that, and you'll have, if you've landed on what your project really is, there'll be a sense of relief in there. There'll be a sense of knowing, a sense of familiarity, a sense of, yeah, that makes sense. And then from that moment,
that's why I feel icky. I'm like, I normally like get those feelings and I don't have that right now. And I'm like so ready to just like put my energy behind whatever I need to do to grow. And I don't know what that is. And so like, you know, in the 3D with the money not showing up and not knowing what muscle I'm supposed to grow, I have no idea what to do.
Well, so not knowing what muscle to grow, usually in my experience, it takes 5 or 10 minutes sometimes to kind of go fishing for it. Do you want to do that?
Sure. Yeah, because I've been doing it. I've been spinning on my own in my head for a few days, but
all right. Well,
facilitation could help.
Let's fish a little bit. So this idea, you know, just how familiar is it to you that you are where you are today? Is it new? Is it familiar?
What do you mean?
Like this whole...
The concept or...
The place that you're in emotionally today, the fear, the anxiety. Have you been here before?
Yeah.
Is it extremely familiar? A little bit familiar?
It's not all the time, but it's like, you know, whenever I listen to inspiration and leave my job and do what I want to do and follow my heart, I end up in this place eventually.
Okay. And so what would a person have to believe about themselves, about life, about how things work in order to have this chronic experience, would you say?
That's why I thought the consistency was such a huge breakthrough. Because, just always, I used to think like things are great for me, but not consistently. And so breaking through that was amazing.
Okay, so see, the practice would be then you already have the solution, which is consistency. I know what inconsistency feels like, and now I have an intention for consistency. So really and truly, the fundamental practice here is to just move into that intention.
But it isn't, consistent in the 3D right now, and it's getting scary. So it's harder for me to be like,
So
yeah, it's always consistent.
it's harder to do that, but it doesn't mean that we don't do it still. That's
Oh, I'm
still
doing it.
gonna
I'm
be the
definitely doing it.
practice. That's still always the practice, but that's not helping you. It's not getting you all the
Yeah.
way there. So that's why I wanted to go down this other avenue of, well, what do you have to do in order to get there? Would you say, oh, I have to be a different person, or I would have to believe this, or I would have to think that, or I would have to stop doing this?
I have no idea, because if I knew, I would do it.
Okay. So then let's go back. Let's go fishing for this thing, because you cannot expect to go forward, none of us, when we're just stuck in what's not working. So lots of ways to get unstuck. Let's look at this particular way of getting unstuck, which is to find the project, right? So why is Christina specifically having this experience? Okay, so you say it's not about acceptance. You say it's not about judgment.
Oh, I mean, acceptance and judgment are huge. Yeah, they're definitely huge. Like, I don't want to accept this. This is super uncomfortable, and I judge that it's not here yet. Like, those things are definitely here.
Okay, so that's exactly what I'm talking about. So let's reduce this down and play around for a few minutes to see what, if anything, it does. To say, okay, my issue today isn't about abundance. My issue today is about accepting everything as it is, because the way things are today, when I feel what I'm feeling in my body, when I look in my bank account, they're not in alignment with my intention.
So that's where, like, I feel the disconnects. If the law of attraction is always on and all that, then why do I have to accept that things aren't working out for me? Shouldn't they just be working out for me?
Because being present is just one of the concepts that we've decided helps to keep us on track, right? So being present means to accept everything as it is. It's a skill, it's a practice, and it's the place from which everything else happens, and it at least gets us to neutral. So the idea, if we're struggling with acceptance, then we're in some degree of resistance. I don't want to think about this. I don't want to deal with this. I want to be further down the road than where I am. But you are where you are. But I want to be somewhere else. But you are where you are. But I want to be somewhere else. Then just be where you are. All right. I'll just be where I am. I'll just accept that I am where I am. I don't have to make it mean anything. I don't like it. That's for sure. But I am where I am. I am where I am.
How does one accept it when, like, the responsibility part of my brain is like, well, you have this, and this bill that are due. You have
That's
taking
separate.
responsibility.
Okay. That's next. First is this.
Well, that's what I struggle with in being present. I'm like, well, everything is fine right now, but then I don't take responsibility.
No buts. Don't say but. Don't say but. Everything's fine right now. Law of attraction's always on. Wow, the universe in that instant is giving you more of everything's fine. So we really are getting somewhere here where it's really hard for you. That's the question we ask. Who do I have to be? What muscle do I have to grow or develop that I'm not so good at today? You know? So it feels like maybe we're getting somewhere. It's like, yeah, I don't want to accept this. I don't like it. But acceptance isn't about any of those things. It's just about acceptance without judgment. So once we get to that place, then here's the deal. So when you're thinking ideas and second job and this and that and all the fear-based thoughts that come, they are of a piece that vibrate with fear and anxiety, right? I'm in fear. Everything is energy. Like attracts like. So the thoughts and ideas that I'm going to have when I'm in fear are going to resonate with fear. If I am willing to drop the fear, to move into just acceptance without any judgment, that's kind of what acceptance means. Now I'm out of resistance. I've raised my vibration at least a little bit from some degree of resistance to neutrality. Now from neutral, which is vibrating at a higher place than does fear. Now let's see what ideas come to me. Listening to inspiration again. Now I'm at neutral. Okay, it is what it is. I'm just not going to argue with it anymore. I don't like it. I don't want it. We all know what my intentions are for the future, but I'm just going to really practice. I'm going to play around with this idea that maybe what's really going to help me most is this idea that I struggle with, which is just accepting everything as it is, offering it no resistance at all. I am where I am. That's a true statement. And it's as or more true than I'm freaked out about where I am. Right? I'm freaked out about where I am versus I am where I am. Freaked out is full of fear and judgment. It's not right, it's wrong, I should be somewhere else. Judgment, 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 judgment. I am where I am is just kind of a neutral statement.
And then do you take stuff like the opposite of accepting, and the voice in my head is like, well, to what degree does this fall under complacency and irresponsibility to like the bills that I have to pay? Does that come into tapping?
When you hear the voice that talks about irresponsibility and complacency, when you hear that, this is what I was going to ask you earlier. What is the feeling that comes with that? Christina, you're being irresponsible. Christina, you're being, what was the other one? Complacent. How does it feel when you...
Oh, it doesn't feel good at all. I don't love this.
How does it... No, stop. How does it feel? 2 words.
Not good. Scary.
Okay, so spiritual beings having human experience, talking about guidance and receiving guidance and this concept of listening to inspiration. If I feel scared, if I feel not good, then whatever I'm responding to is not of the light. It's not from my soul. It's not from God. It's not from the universe. It's not from my higher self, because those aspects of us don't communicate in that way. We do.
So is that something you would take into tapping?
Pardon me?
Is that something you would then take into tapping to work through? Because that's what I found in my tapping, that I received that feeling of complacency and hard work from, like, I was raised to always work hard to make sure everything's taken care of. That I totally see where that thought comes from, but nonetheless, it's in there pretty deep. So do you just use tapping for stuff like that?
Sure, depending on how big of a thing it is for you. But what we're
Big.
talking about is, well, I don't want to jump yet off of this whole idea for you specifically about moving into acceptance of what is.
Well, that's what I.
You mean to help you do that? So even though
Yeah.
right now, not one single fiber of my being wants to accept things as they are,
Mm-hmm.
I'm choosing to see if I can practice this project of mine, custom made for me, spiritual being having a human experience, to see if this will get me out of where I am, right? Because if at the end of this whole conversation, Christina, it's your struggle is all boiling down to, the words are inability and unwillingness, but it's really also just not practice of pure acceptance for the sake of it, then fantastic. Then we've found what's going to get you out of it. Because everything else is on top of it. Until any of us can just rest in what is and get to that neutral point, Mostly then we're going to make choices out of fear. So yeah, I know we're bouncing all over the place, but so here it is. So yeah, so even though not one single part of me wants to accept everything as it is, because I'm pissed off, I'm frustrated, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I love and accept myself completely, even though I'm really struggling with this idea of accepting everything as it is for all kinds of reasons, choosing to see if I can do it. Even though I'm really struggling with this idea of accepting everything in my life today as it is because it's not the way I want it to be, I'm choosing to see if I can grow my be present muscle. And then you just keep talking about everything you've been saying all night, you know, the dread, the fear, the anxiety, the frustration, the doubt, the I don't know if it works for me, the da 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 da. I just have to accept where I am. Wow, where am I? I'm at a place where there's not the right amount of money in my bank account. I'm thinking too much about, or not too much, I'm thinking a lot about tomorrow. I'm thinking about next week. I'm thinking about where I've been. I'm thinking about inconsistency. I'm thinking about just feeling stuck. I'm feeling, right? And just sort of all of it. But this, what we're talking about now and tapping on, we've jumped tracks, sort of, into another way in. We've talked all this time about different ways in to deal with what happens when I'm in the midst of an intention and I'm not all the way there yet. And now we're talking very specifically about this one way in, which is finding the reason for why I'm having this experience. And it turns out one of those reasons, if not the reason, is I don't really want to accept where I am. And yet that resistance to accepting where we are without any judgment then becomes the project. And to Christina's point and to the demonstration that we just did, sure, tapping can help with that a lot because it's all resistance.
Are you
And what I'm
supposed
suggesting-
to? Are you supposed to be able, like, so when I do tapping with you, we usually come to like, we rise in
Yeah.
it, and I haven't been able. Tapping's been amazing for me, but I haven't been able to rise in it. So as I'm doing those tappings on my own, of like, yeah, even though right now everything you just said, am I supposed to get to a point where I feel better? Like,
yeah, always. And you've had that experience. So the only reason that the tapping won't get any of us off of where we are, and that's why we just take the temperature, is because we're not talking about the right issue. It's the only reason. Which is why I think the right issue and why you haven't gotten there is this issue. And again, I can't know for sure because only you can. When we talk about a project, why am I having the experience I'm having? Who do I have to be? What muscle do I, as a spiritual being having this experience, have to grow or develop in order to get out of it? That's where the effort becomes very customized. So everybody in the bereavement group who's lost a spouse does not have the same project. They're having the same general experience, but they're not having it for the same reason, right? So if you're tapping and tapping and tapping on something and it's not moving you, then all it means is we're not quite tapping on the right issue. So again, this whole looking for a project thing, which I think we might have found, but you have to be the one to say that, is yet another way into all this stuff. And ties right into the whole idea. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. It makes no sense on a 3D human level why I'm still having this experience. Why? I'm tired of it. It makes no sense. It shouldn't be like this. That's pure resistance. So again, through this conversation, I tried a bunch of things in the beginning that weren't quite right. We were tapping with Christina, and we've tapped millions of times before and seen a lot of movement, and we're not seeing the movement. So all that shows us is we're not quite in the right place. So because I don't have a better idea right now, and a better one hasn't come, I really think this is the nugget of it for you tonight, which is, I don't want to accept things the way they are.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what was happening. My tapping was helping me funnel into the real issue. So I was like getting these like insights of like, no, that's why that bothers me. But then I didn't solve anything. So okay, so now it tells me that like when I get those insights, keep looking
Yes,
for the real
keep
thing.
going. And that's why we take that 0 to 10 quick measurement. As I always say, it's not about math or science. It's just about taking the temperature so that we can see if we're moving in the right direction or not, right? So when you think about the fear and the anxiety around money that you came on with before, where are you with it right now? Because before I let you go, I want to get to.
I went from a 0.5 to a 4.
Okay. we're getting somewhere.
I just couldn't feel the faith of these activities that have always worked for me because it's so deep and so layered and so confusing. And that's why I wanted to come on today and just be like, what do you see that I'm not seeing? I'm so confused.
And is anything more clear now?
Yeah.
What would you say is more clear, or what do you see now compared to when you came on?
And sitting with this concept of accepting things as they are, and I just like really look forward to getting into like I know what my mom said to me about needing to be able to take care of yourself. Like I know how that affected my beliefs that I need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they're so deep that I almost can't think around them right now.
Yeah.
So, baby step.
Yep. So let's just do a little more tapping on this, and then I'll let you go because it's been
Okay.
I don't want to.
Yeah, you can hammer me all you want. I've been doing it, been surfing myself for like 3 days. Like, is it Monday yet? Can somebody help me?
All right. So right now, let's just start with where we want to get to. Everything's fine the way it is.
Ew. It's not.
0 to 10.
0.
All right.
It's not.
Let's just do this. We're gonna go for a few minutes and just see, and then I'm gonna.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. All right. Karate chop. So even though after all this chatter and talk,
Even though after all this chatter and talk,
everything, I'm not at all believing
I am not at all believing
that everything's fine the way it is.
that everything is fine the way it is.
I love and accept myself completely.
I love and accept myself completely.
Even though right now I am not believing
Even though right now I don't believe
that everything's fine the way it is.
that everything is fine the way it is.
I love and accept myself completely.
I love and accept myself completely.
Even though I'm really struggling right now.
Even though I'm really struggling right now
with accepting the idea that, let's just say, everything is the way it is.
That everything is the way it is.
I'm choosing here and now.
I'm choosing here and now
to grow my acceptance muscle.
To grow my acceptance muscle.
And let my resistance muscle atrophy.
And let my resistance muscle atrophy.
Eyebrows. I don't have to do 8 million things.
I don't have to do anything.
Size of the eyes. I just have to let go of my resistance.
I just have to let go of my resistance.
Under the eyes. I don't have to love what today is all about.
I don't have to love what today is all about.
Under the nose. I just have to stop resisting it.
I just have to stop resisting and fearing it.
On the chin. That's a project for a spiritual being.
That is a project for a spiritual being.
Collarbone. To undertake.
To undertake.
while having a human experience.
while having a human experience.
Under the arm. That I resist
That I resist
makes me human.
makes me human.
Top of the head. That I choose,
That I choose
eyebrows, to substitute acceptance for resistance, substitute resistance for acceptance.
that I choose to substitute resistance for acceptance.
Thank you, size of the eyes. That is the work of a spiritual being.
That is the work of a spiritual being.
Under the eyes. I'm not here to learn to manage my anxiety.
I'm not here to learn to manage my anxiety.
Under the nose. I'm not here to learn to manage my fear.
I'm not here to learn to manage my fear.
I'm here to transcend those things.
I'm here to transcend those things.
I'm here to stop creating those things.
I'm here to stop creating those things.
Under the arm. And my need
And my need
to grow my acceptance muscle
to grow my acceptance muscle
up the head is evidence in and of itself.
is evidence in and of itself
Eyebrows, that I am on a journey
that I am on a journey
as a spiritual being,
as a spiritual being,
beside the eyes, having a human experience.
having a human experience,
Under the eyes, trusting that nothing is by accident.
trusting that nothing is by accident,
Under the nose, that part of why I'm here
that part of why I'm here
and in this body having this life
in this body, having this life,
is to practice and learn.
is to practice and learn
Under the art of acceptance.
the art of acceptance,
Top of the head, the art of starting from neutral.
the art of starting from neutral,
Eyebrows, the art of starting from neutral.
the art of starting from neutral,
Ideas, which is way different from starting from fear.
which is way different than starting from fear.
Under the eyes, it's way different than starting from fear.
It's way different than starting from fear.
Under the nose, so I'm not going to worry about my bank account.
So I'm not going to worry about my bank account.
And I'm not going to worry about the ins and outs of where I'm going.
I'm not going to worry about the ins and outs of where I'm going.
Collarbone. I'm just going to practice being here now.
I'm just going to practice being here and now.
Under the arm. I'm going to practice being here and now.
I'm going to practice being here and now.
Top of the head. I am where I am.
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 Nice deep breath.
Lots came up in that. So I'm going to
tell.
go back through the recording and hit on the beginning. Felt really good. It felt like, I don't remember, it just felt really good.
We'll play around with it. It's obviously a huge thing, because what Christina has going on is all the fear and the anxiety that's made its way in, all the frustration about not quite being where she wants to be yet, which we all deal with when we deign to set an intention, and really struggling with, well, it's this, I'm tapping on this, nothing's really getting me there. Yeah, there's some ideas, right? So there's always going to be something else. And I think that at least so far, this seems to me to be, I'm always going for, let's pull the weed out from the root.
Yeah.
Feels to me like this is the root for you today, and what got you over the last few days or however long it's been, the resistance to just accepting what is today and being where you are.
And it's no wonder that I feel so shitty, because we were on vacation last week and I just wanted to be really antisocial, and we were in a super touristy place, and when the maid came and I had the do not disturb sign on, and just having someone came in my room and did stuff, and that pissed me off, and I can't accept that someone's in, this is my space. And then, oh, airplanes, like the people are so stupid and they don't know how to get off an airplane fast enough. And I can't fucking accept that I have to stand here and wait for you. Like, I can't accept that. I have been experiencing so much acceptance triggers that it's now like, look at your bank account, freak out.
And look, and thank you for all the time. I mean, like, it takes a while, if we go back to the beginning of this, there are all different ways. So here's Christina stuck in a moment, started the intention here. Here's where it fully manifests, and she's somewhere in between. We're all there. If you're in spiritual workout world, we're all going to be there. And so once we notice that we're there are going to be lots of different ways to get out of that space. And tonight we found ultimately what it'll be for Christina. And the fact that you're talking about this in terms that are, this is not a new idea to you. This resistance to what is, and this.
Oh yeah. I knew that something about getting off the airplane had to do with this. And I knew that my need for control had something to do with this, but I didn't quite know how to put it together. And there was so much fear going on that I couldn't think. I just kept thinking in that moment, I let it go because my intention is that I have my private jet, and that's not here yet, but I know that that's my intention.
Yeah.
When instead, the better direct path would be to acknowledge my lack of acceptance. That's what it is.
And once you do the acceptance, you just have to touch it. You just have to be like, okay, it is. Just let the resistance go. You don't have to live in it. You don't have to cultivate it. You don't have to. It's just, you just touch it. So I'll give one analogy that I always think of, or that comes to me all the time when we're talking like this. So when we are in non-acceptance, which is another way of saying when we're in resistance, imagine that resistance as you in a body of water that's a little bit taller than you, and you're treading water, right? So what do we do when we're treading water? I'm 10 years old, I'm in the freezing cold lake at summer camp, right? And I'm like, and I'm treading water. So my hands and arms are going like crazy. My feet and legs are going like crazy. And maybe my head is back like this so I can just breathe, right? And now this is all my energy is going to just sort of maintaining, right? But all that effort is just resistance, resistance, resistance. If I can just, wow, holy moly, I didn't even realize it. If I stick my toe like that, I can touch the bottom. I can touch the bottom. Oh my, whoa. And the moment that I touch the bottom, I'm like instantly, I don't have to do this all the time, maybe just a little bit. And now one of my legs is just anchored. And now everything has shifted. And it's the touching of the bottom that is the non-resistance, that is the acceptance. And then it's like, oh, there's a life preserver right there that somebody threw that I didn't see when I was doing this. So when we talk about raising the vibration by going from fear and anxiety and resistance to non-resistance and acceptance, doesn't mean love, doesn't mean condoning, doesn't mean loving, liking, or any of it. It just means accepting. It's like when we touch the bottom and we just in the water and we don't have to tread to survive. And then instantly different data is available to us because we're vibing in a different place. So what you're striving for is just a degree of, that's it.
Yeah.
Then you shift into gear with the intention. And I promise you, if you can get from where we're talking about to that place of just that neutral place, then you'll pick up your intention again, Christina. It'll be like, I can do this now. Yeah,
I know how that feels. And I definitely know that works. I was just treading so much that I needed to come here and be like, can you please help me put my toe down?
Right. And at first I was just throwing life preservers.
And I was like, I can't reach for them. I'm treading.
Like, oh wait, she needs to just put her toe down. Let's just
yeah.
Because how cool would it have been if the first life preserver was it, and boom, you latch on and you're off and running.
Usually it is. That's why this stuff is so great.
But you can't,
This is the masterclass.
Well, how do you feel?
I feel clear. I feel like just the hope that there's something to look at and work on and not so scrambled.
Yeah. And don't work
It's
so hard on it. Don't work
it's
so hard.
it's a big one for me. Like I just envision trying to get off an airplane and I'm like, so I'll keep you updated.
Please. And thank you so much. You feeling complete enough for now?
Yeah, actually more than enough. I need to just like go breathe and cry and fall asleep.
Sounds perfect to me. Especially the crying
Thank you,
part.
Christina.
Never miss an opportunity to cry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ugh.
Thanks so much. Have a good
Thanks,
night.
Christina.